Thanks for coming back. Today we're working on a Volkswagen Beetle taillight assembly. They're not easy to rebuild. It's not like a typical, for me, American cars that I'm used to, hot rods and stuff like that. You just basically bolt the lens on and you're done. The lens goes in. This is the lens. And the originals were glass. This sounds like it's plastic. So you got the lens housing, you got the chrome bezel, a spring that holds it all together. We'll become friends with this one. And then where the bulb goes in, and you got bulbs. So this blinker actually is a tail light, brake light / blinker. There is no third bulb in here for the blinker. So the blinker actually goes through the turn signal setup and it shuts on and off the tail light as it blinks. Now this car that I'm working on is not wired for this style setup. So we're going to have to figure that one out when we get to it. So what I struggle with is this little guy. So let's get started on it. I noticed somebody siliconed this, and there's a reason why probably. Not because the lens is falling out, but maybe. No, those tabs are still there. There's little tabs that fold over and hold the lens on. I bet you what it was the chrome bezel. These tabs actually hold the taillight into the housing. So, like I said, we're gonna love to hate these. Most of the time they are a complete struggle. I already finished up the other taillight, and let me tell you, it was a struggle. The name on this series is Struggle Bug, and I can tell you it has been a struggle. I don't know if aftermarket parts aren't built like they used to be, but this is what we're dealing with today. Now, got to get in here. I got to get all the silicone out, not because I don't want it there, but because this will affect how the lens actually sits in the housing and will create more issues for us. Because this has to sit flush with the housing and bezel. If it doesn't, then we won't get that spring on. Okay. So this fits real tight in here. And this fits real tight in here. So now there is a up and down on these taillights. The lettering goes down at the bottom. So what we're going to do now is put the trim on. And then remember these tabs we were talking about? These tabs, they go in and then they bend over. And that's what locks them into the housing. So you bend them over as far as you can get them. And then the taillight goes in. Now remember I said there's a top and bottom? It's basically for looks. I don't think it matters as far as fitment. It's just when you're done, you don't want the lettering to be up on top and be upside down. Just a cosmetic thing. Okay, now here's the part I struggled with. Now this spring goes into these notches that are on this. So this spring goes in here, goes in from the top side. It's just hard to, I don't know if I could film it. So it goes like that. Now that seems very simple. Now the difference is once we put the taillight in there, it pushes down on this taillight and puts it flush hard up against all this. So let's put the taillight in, making sure we're the proper direction. Now the first one's real easy to get in. The second one, not so much. And then when you put it down on the table, when you push down on it, it pushes the lens up. So you end up fighting that. So what I'm curious on is if when they built these cars, they had a fixture these went into and held it all down. So let's get one side down in so that way it holds it. What I ended up using was a screwdriver, needle nose, and anything else I could throw at it. Okay, so that's the easy side. Now the hard side. So you can see how that silicone around there would have pushed it away and made it next to impossible to get that lens down in there. So now what I found is on the other one, I took the screwdriver and I kind of pushed these tabs out as far as I could. To try to get the lens in there better. If you guys know an easier way to do this, I'd love to hear it in the comments. I got it. All right. So we got that snapped in. This next one should be a little bit easier. Just because that one, it was the one that fought me forever. I think bending the tabs out further was my issue. Yep, that one just snapped in. Now what we could do is put the screwdriver in between the tabs and kind of bend the tabs in again. Just to make sure, because I bent them out the furthest I could. All right, and that's your finished taillight. So now what we have is on these, there's a little tiny tab on this. There's a tab with a little tiny hole in it. This has a little tiny tab on it. And this goes in here, locks into that little hole. And then I don't know what else holds it. There's a little hole here, but there's nothing, I don't see anything. I don't know if there's supposed to be something holding it. I know that that the ground on this, so this goes on like this, and there's a ground that goes there. I'm just checking this out. There looks to be, I wonder if there's supposed to be a little micro spring or wire that goes from here to there. That hooks on to that. If that had a little piece of baling wire that you put through, that would make sense. A little tiny spring or baling wire. I don't know. I've never rebuilt these to where they've had all the parts. So I know a lot of people just tape them on. I've seen that a whole bunch of times. I think I'll do that. I think I'll try to find a little micro spring. I'm going to do that. Let me know how you guys would do this. I'm not really sure. I just kind of do what I do, you know? So it usually works, and hopefully sometimes it's better than factory, sometimes it's not. So I'm going to go locate a spring, and I'll be right back. All right, so I found a spring that should work. No, not going to work. Just a slight bit too big. So I do have these little ones though. These might be still too long, but let's see what we can do. That one's backwards. This one's going to be easier to do. Now a lot of these parts are from West Coast Metric. I don't know the quality of them. Some people say they're great. Some people say they're not. I don't know. That's all over. It's a matter of can I get them or not. Okay, let's see. These are Harbor Freight springs. I think they're closed to loops. Let's open these up. Yeah, there we go. So they just took the spring and bent it over. Okay, so if it's too long, I can just do that. I could do that one.
We'll do that.
Right.
Okay. So if that goes in that hole, trying to line this up to that tab. There we go. Yep, way too long. That would hook into around that. Let's see if that'll hold it. Woo! It shut off. Over. If it tries to pull it off to one side, I could always do 2 springs to it. Did I make things harder for myself? No, it's too far away. Open it up. Well, that holds it in place. It'll be inside. This ground's up top. Now, I don't know if there's supposed to be a rubber boot around this. I thought there was, but I'm not seeing it. So let's go ahead and pull this off. It's the easier side to pull it off. Let's close this one up. So we don't lose that spring. And this, I guess we could just lift that up and pull that off. So we can close up this spring. Okay. Now let's get the light bulb. Now this is a 1157, I think, and it does have a top and right and left. So if you look at this, there's a higher one and a lower one, and these little knobs go into that. This is the wrong bulb. It's 1156. It's stamped on the light bulb, but I can't see that. Tail light bezel. What do we do with the bulbs? Yeah, these are 1156s. These are a single filament. We need dual filaments. So once again, we need parts. All right. So yeah, I think that'll work. I think putting that spring on there. And then to put this back in, we'll just get that lined up. Put that in your hole. Are you too good for your hole? There we go. And that holds it. That's a lot better than doing tape and everything else. I think it could have a wire that goes in there, but I don't know. Maybe you guys know. Let me know. All right, so we could do the spring on this one. Now this one's going to be different because it's the other way. Why that is, I don't know. I'm putting both writing down at the bottom. So does not make sense to me. Now this one's going to have to be the other way, which is not going to be as friendly. Go ahead and pull the spring apart and kind of open up, take some pressure off of it, make it longer. So what I'm doing is I'm just hooking the spring around the wire. All right. So that wire clip is holding the spring. It seems to hold it pretty good. I don't see any issues. And then once this is in, I bet you that's the main holder. So that basically makes the ground right there. No, I don't know how good these grounds are. I know this definitely needs to be cleaned. So I'll take a piece of Scotch-Brite and clean that up. If you are having taillight problems, really dim tail lights, if you're switched over to 12 volts, if you have really dim taillights, you might want to solder a wire to the housing here and run it out with the taillights and ground it on the body. You could ground it to this, you know, drill a little hole, put a screw, but that would kind of be hard to do while you're putting it all on the car. So without the bulb, we can't install these, but we're good. So I want to thank you guys for watching this series of Volkswagen mess ups. Like I tell people, I'm not good at anything. I just keep pushing forward and see what we can get done. This is a friend's bug, and we're working on it. We're getting it done. Came to me after paint, so all these parts were just freshly painted, so everything was torn off the VW. A lot of the parts were missing. Whoever took it apart did not store it correctly, did not categorize it. I like getting bags and putting everything in bags, labeling them, so that way when you pull a car apart, when you go to put it back together, you just put all the bags back together and you're good to go. So this is done until we get the bulbs, and then I'll show you guys bolting these on. All right, so thanks for watching. Check out the other videos.